welcome to the Room of Requirement. Today I'm going to be talking about Enochian Magick, explaining it. It's the angelic language and the mysteries of the Watchtowers. So this is a system that is usually studied on its own, but it is combined with some higher level high magic rituals in some form or another. So it's just a very interesting subject to study that you eventually will come across in Western esotericism at some point or another. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, among all of the systems in ceremonial magic, few inspire as much fascination, debate, and mystery as Enochian Magick. Some practitioners regard it as the most powerful magical system ever received. Others consider it a profound mystical technology for exploring higher states of consciousness. Still, others view it as an elaborate symbolic language through which the unconscious mind communicates spiritual truths. Unlike many magical traditions that evolved gradually over centuries, Enochian Magick emerged suddenly during the late 16th century through a series of extraordinary revelations received by two men, the scholar John Dee and the scryer Edward Kelley. According to their records, angels communicated an entirely new language, cosmology, magical system, and method of spiritual ascent, unlike anything previously known in Western tradition. The result became known as Enochian Magick, a system that would later influence Rosicrucianism, the Hermetic tradition, the Golden Dawn, Aleister Crowley, modern ceremonial magic, and countless occult practitioners. More than 400 years later, its origins remain controversial, its symbolism remains complex, and its mysteries continue to captivate students of the occult. So what is Enochian Magick? Enochian Magick is a system of angelic magic based upon communications allegedly received from spiritual beings during the late 16th century. The system includes its own language, alphabet, magical tablets, invocations, hierarchy of angels, cosmology, and methods of spiritual exploration. Unlike many magical systems that focus primarily upon planetary forces, elemental energies, or spirit conjuration, Enochian Magick centers upon direct interaction with angelic intelligences. Its purpose was not merely the acquisition of power, but the attainment of divine wisdom, spiritual knowledge, and a deeper understanding of creation itself. At its highest levels, Enochian Magick seeks to facilitate direct contact between human consciousness and higher spiritual realities. John Dee, the scholar magician. The story of Enochian Magick begins with John Dee. Dee was one of the most remarkable intellectuals of the Elizabethan era. He was a mathematician, astronomer, astrologer, navigator, philosopher, theologian, and advisor to Elizabeth I. His personal library was among the largest in Europe, and his interests ranged from science and mathematics to alchemy, Hermetic philosophy, and angelic communication. Despite his accomplishments, Dee sought something beyond ordinary knowledge. He desired direct access to divine wisdom and believed that angels might serve as intermediaries between humanity and God. This quest would eventually lead him towards one of the most extraordinary episodes in occult history. To facilitate communication with spiritual beings, Dee worked with a man named Edward Kelley. Kelley possessed a reputation as a skilled scryer. Scrying is the practice of gazing into a reflective surface such as a crystal, mirror, or polished stone in order to receive visions and spiritual communications. During their sessions, Kelley would gaze into a crystal while Dee carefully recorded everything he reported seeing and hearing. Over the course of several years, these sessions produced thousands of pages of material that would later become the foundation of Enochian Magick. According to Dee and Kelley, the angels did not merely provide messages. They revealed an entirely new spiritual system. The angels communicated as previously unknown language, an alphabet, magical invocations, cosmological teachings, angelic hierarchies, and symbolic diagrams. They claimed that this knowledge represented a sacred system intended to help humanity regain wisdom lost since ancient times. Dee believed that he was receiving genuine angelic revelations. Whether one accepts this claim literally, symbolically, psychologically, or metaphorically remains a matter of personal interpretation. regardless of one's conclusion. The complexity and coherence of the resulting system remains extraordinary. The term Enochian derives from the biblical figure Enoch. In Jewish mysticism tradition, Enoch is a mysterious patriarch who walked with God and was taken into heaven without experiencing ordinary death. Later texts, such as the Book of Enoch, describe Enoch receiving visions of angels, heavenly realms, and cosmic mysteries. The angels communicating with Dee and Kelley claim that their teachings were connected to the wisdom originally revealed to Enoch. For this reason, the language and magical system became known as Enochian. Perhaps the most famous aspect of the system is the Enochian language itself. The angels dictated an entirely new alphabet and vocabulary. According to Dee and Kelley, this was a language spoken by angels before the fall of humanity and represented a primordial sacred tongue. The language possesses its own grammar, syntax, vocabulary, and symbolic structure. Many practitioners believe that its power lies not only in its meaning, but in its sound and vibrational qualities. Whether viewed as a genuine angelic language or as a symbolic magical construct, it remains one of the most unique features of the entire system. One of the central revelations of Enochian magic was the Great Table, sometimes called the Watchtower tables. This enormous arrangement of letters forms the foundation of much of the system's practical work. The Great Table is divided into 4 primary watchtowers corresponding to the classical elements: air, water, earth, and fire. Each watchtower contains angelic names, hierarchies, and symbolic structures associated with the elemental force. The watchtowers function as maps of spiritual reality and serve as gateways through which practitioners interact with specific classes of angelic intelligences. Within each watchtower exists a complex hierarchy of spiritual beings. Kings, seniors, cherubic angels, elemental angels, and numerous other intelligences occupy different positions within the system. These hierarchies reflect a deeply ordered cosmos in which spiritual forces operate according to precise relationships and structures. Unlike many forms of spiritual work that focus upon commanding entities, Enochian practice traditionally emphasizes cooperation with higher intelligences in pursuit of wisdom and spiritual development. At its deepest level, Enochian magic was never intended simply as a method for obtaining power or influencing events. Its ultimate purpose was the expansion of consciousness. The system presents a vision of reality in which humanity occupies a position between the material and spiritual worlds. Through disciplined practice, the magician seeks to ascend through increasingly refined levels of awareness and gain direct knowledge of higher realities. In this sense, Enochian magic shares a common goal with Kabbalah, Hermeticism, and alchemy: the transformation of consciousness and the pursuit of divine wisdom. More than 4 centuries after its revelation, Enochian magic remains one of the most influential and controversial systems in Western esotericism. Some view it as a genuine angelic revelation. Some view it as an extraordinary symbolic system. Some view it as a method of exploring the unconscious mind. Others regard it as one of the greatest mysteries in occult history. Regardless of interpretation, its influence upon modern ceremonial magic cannot be overstated. The system continues to inspire practitioners because it promises something that has always fascinated humanity: direct contact with the hidden dimensions of reality. While the history of Enochian magic is fascinating, the true uniqueness of the system lies within its structure. Unlike many magical traditions that evolve gradually over centuries, Enochian magic arrived as a highly organized framework composed of angelic language, magical tablets, invocations, spiritual hierarchies, and maps of consciousness. To understand why so many magicians regard Enochian as one of the most powerful systems ever revealed, we must examine its inner architecture. One of the first revelations received by Dee and Kelley was the Enochian alphabet. According to the angels, these characters represented sacred symbols through which spiritual forces could be expressed and communicated. Unlike Hebrew, Greek, or Latin, the Enochian alphabet appears to have emerged fully formed. Each letter possesses a unique shape, name, sound, and symbolic significance. The angels reportedly dictated the letters one at a time, often in reverse order, requiring Dee and Kelley to reconstruct the messages piece by piece. For many practitioners, the alphabet itself functions as a magical tool. Writing, meditating upon, or vibrating the letters is believed to create subtle effects within consciousness and establish resonance with the angelic currents underlying the system. And this is exactly how high magic works with the divine names in ceremonial magic. Okay, so I wanted to give an example. So here on the right we have Enochian, and on the left we have Theban script, or witch's script, also known as the witch's alphabet. So a lot of people will confuse these, so I wanted to show the difference. Like when you're first learning all of this, even I mistaked it at first when I was first learning, but these are different systems. So you can see the Enochian, it has fatter kind of letters, and the Theban is kind of more wispy, but I wanted to give you an example and show you what the Enochian alphabet looks like. Okay. The alphabet was only the beginning. The angels also revealed a complete language. The Enochian language possesses its own vocabulary, grammar, sentence structure, and syntax. So Dee believed this language represented as a primordial tongue spoken before humanity's separation from divine knowledge. Some practitioners describe it as the language of angels, while others see it as a symbolic magical language designed to bypass ordinary thought and communicate directly with deeper levels of consciousness. One reason the language remains important is that many Enochian rituals involve speaking the words aloud. Practitioners often believe that the vibratory quality of the language itself carries power independent of intellectual understanding. Whether interpreted mystically or psychologically, the language remains one of the most remarkable aspects of the entire system. Among the most important revelations received by Dee and Kelley were the 19 calls, sometimes known as the 19 keys. These are invocations given in the Enochian language and are intended to open specific regions of the angelic cosmos. Each call acts like a spiritual key designed to unlock a particular level of reality. The first 18 calls are associated with various aspects of the Watchtower system and elemental forces. The 19th call is unique because it serves as the gateway to the 30 ethers, which many practitioners regard as the highest and most mystical dimension of Enochian work. The calls are among the most frequently used elements of Enochian practice and remain central to modern ceremonial applications of the system. At the center of Enochian magic stands the Great Table, one of the most complex magical diagrams in Western esotericism. The Great Table consists of a vast arrangement of letters organizing into 4 primary sections corresponding to the 4 classical elements. According to the angelic revelations, these letters encode names, powers, hierarchies, and spiritual relationships that form part of the structure of creation itself. To the uninitiated, the Great Table appears to be little more than a grid of letters. To Enochian practitioners, however, it functions as a map of spiritual reality and a framework through which contact with angelic intelligences becomes possible. The Great Table serves as the foundation for much of the practical work performed within the system. The Great Table is divided into 4 elemental regions known as the Watchtowers. Each watchtower corresponds to one of the classical elements. The Air Watchtower governs intellect, communication, thought, perception, and mental activity. The Water Watchtower governs emotion, intuition, imagination, dreams, and the unconscious. The Earth Watchtower governs manifestation, stability, material reality, and physical existence. The Fire Watchtower governs will, transformation, passion, energy, and spiritual power. These watchtowers are not merely symbolic diagrams. They are understood as gateways into vast hierarchies of angelic intelligences associated with their respective elemental forces. Each elemental watchtower contains a ruling king. These kings represent some of the highest governing intelligences within the Enochian hierarchy. Their role is to oversee the operation and balance of their respective elemental domains. So in practical work, magicians often invoke these governing forces when seeking access to the deeper layers of the watchtower's energies and angelic currents. The kings symbolize the organizing intelligence behind each elemental realm. The 6 seniors. Beneath each king are 6 powerful angelic beings known as the seniors. The seniors serve as intermediaries between the elemental kingdoms and the lower angelic hierarchies. They regulate the flow of energy throughout the system and maintain the balance of their respective watchtowers. Within Golden Dawn interpretations, the seniors become associated with planetary and zodiacal influences, creating additional layers of correspondence and symbolism. So this is a lot like the 72 angels and goetic entities of the Shemot Barash. When it relates to the zodiacal wheel, sounds really similar to it. So that's where the Golden Dawn, you can see a connection there. So together, the kings and the seniors form part of the governing structure of the Enochian universe. The cherubic angels. Further within each watchtower are the cherubic angels. These beings function as guardians and stabilizers of elemental forces, so their role resembles that of the cherubim found in Jewish angelology, serving as protectors of sacred thresholds and channels of divine power. The cherubic angels help maintain the integrity of the elemental realms and play important roles in ritual operations involving the watchtowers. The elemental angels. At the most accessible level of the hierarchy are numerous elemental angels. These intelligences govern specific aspects of their elemental domains and are often the primary points of contact during practical Enochian operations. Each possesses a unique name, function, and position within the Great Table. Together they create a vast network of angelic forces operating throughout the system. So the complexity of these hierarchies is one reason Enochian magic remains one of the most intricate magical systems ever developed. At the center of the 4 elemental watchtowers lies a smaller diagram known as the Tablet of Union. This tablet represents spirit, the 5th element that unifies and harmonizes the other 4. While air, water, earth, and fire represent different forces, spirit represents the underlying unity from which they emerge. The Tablet of Union serves as a bridge connecting the elemental realms and symbolizes the integration of all aspects of creation into a single divine reality. Many practitioners consider it as one of the most important components of the entire Enochian system. The 30 ethers. Beyond the watchtowers lies what many regard as the crown jewel of Enochian magic, the 30 ethers. The ethers are 30 progressively transcendent regions of consciousness or spiritual reality. They are arranged in a hierarchical sequence extending from the material world towards increasingly subtle and divine levels of existence. Each ether possesses its own atmosphere, symbolism, teachings, and spiritual intelligences. Practitioners explore them through scrying, meditation, ritual invocation, and visionary work. The journey through the ethers is often compared to the ascent of the tree of life, the stages of alchemy, or the mystical ascent traditions found throughout world spirituality. So this also reminds me of the houses in astrology. They are 30 degrees each. So I'm like making these connections here in my head. The governors. Each ether is governed by a specific angelic intelligence known as governors. The governors oversee vast regions of the Enochian cosmos and serve as guides for those exploring the higher levels of the system. They are among the most mysterious beings encountered within Enochian work and often appear in visionary experiences associated with the ethers. Many practitioners regard encounters with the governors as some of the most profound experiences available within ceremonial magic. The Great Table as a map of consciousness. Although Enochian magic is often described as angelic communication, many modern practitioners interpret its structures psychologically and spiritually. The watchtowers may be understood as maps of elemental forces within consciousness. The angels may represent archetypal intelligences. The calls may function as methods for altering awareness, and the ethers may represent progressively expanded states of consciousness. Viewed through this lens, Enochian magic becomes not merely a system of spirit communication, but a complete framework for exploring the hidden dimensions of the psyche and the soul. Why the system remains unique. Many magical systems contain angels, symbols, rituals, and cosmologies, but what makes Enochian unique is the sheer scope and coherence of the revelation. The language, the alphabet, the calls, the watchtowers, the hierarchies, the tablets, the governors, and the ethers all fit together as parts of a single integrated system. Whether one views the material as angelic revelation, visionary symbolism, psychological architecture, or mystical technology, few systems in Western esotericism possess the same degree of complexity and ambition. The Enochian universe is vast, intricate, and designed not merely to be studied but explored. More than 400 years after its revelation, Enochian Magick remains one of the most influential, controversial, and mysterious systems in the entire Western esoteric tradition. Few magical systems have generated as much fascination or inspired as much debate. Some practitioners regard it as a genuine angelic revelation. Others view it as a symbolic framework for spiritual exploration. Regardless of interpretation, its influence upon modern ceremonial magic is impossible to ignore. The survival of Enochian magic is due not only to its complexity, but the profound experiences reported by those who have worked with it. Generation after generation of magicians have found within its symbols, language, and visions a doorway into dimensions of consciousness unlike anything else within the Western tradition. Although Dee and Kelley's records survived, Enochian magic remained relatively obscure for centuries. It was not until the late 19th century that the system experienced a dramatic revival through the work of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn reorganized, expanded, and integrated the Enochian material into its initiatory system. Members developed new methods of working with the Watchtowers, elemental tables, angelic hierarchies, and visionary practices. They connected Enochian symbolism to astrology, Kabbalah, alchemy, and ceremonial ritual, creating a more comprehensive framework than Dee and Kelley had originally employed. Through the Golden Dawn, Enochian magic became one of the central pillars of modern ceremonial practice and was introduced to generations of future magicians. Aleister Crowley and the 30 Ethers. One of the most famous explorers of the Enochian system was Aleister Crowley. In 1909, Crowley conducted a series of visionary explorations of the 30 Ethers while traveling through the Algerian desert. These experiences were later published as The Vision and the Voice, a work that remains one of the most influential accounts of Enochian practice ever recorded. Crowley's journeys through the ethers revealed symbolic landscapes, angelic intelligences, profound spiritual insights, and encounters with archetypal forces. His descriptions transformed the ethers from abstract concepts into vivid visionary territories that could be explored directly through consciousness. For many practitioners, Crowley's work demonstrated that the Enochian system was not merely theoretical, but experiential. One of the reasons Enochian magic continues to attract practitioners is that it functions less like a philosophy and more like a technology of consciousness. The system provides methods for altering awareness, assessing visionary states, exploring symbolic realities, and engaging with complex spiritual structures. Whether these experiences are understood as objective encounters with external intelligences or manifestations of deeper layers of consciousness remains a matter of personal interpretation. What matters is that the system consistently produces profound experiences for those who approach it seriously. Many practitioners report encounters that feel more vivid, coherent, and transformative than ordinary imagination or meditation. Modern psychologists and occult scholars have proposed numerous explanations for Enochian phenomena. Some view the angels as archetypes emerging from the collective unconscious. The watchtowers may represent elemental dimensions of the psyche. The ethers may correspond to progressively deeper levels of consciousness. The language itself may function as a symbolic trigger capable of bypassing ordinary patterns of thought. From this perspective, Enochian magic becomes an extraordinary, sophisticated method for exploring the unconscious mind and facilitating psychological transformation. This interpretation does not necessarily diminish the system's value. In many ways, it makes its complexity even more remarkable. Mystics often approach the system differently. Rather than viewing the angels as psychological constructs, they regard them as genuine spiritual intelligences existing beyond ordinary human awareness. The ethers become actual levels of spiritual reality. The watchtowers become gateways into dimensions of existence that transcend physical perception. Within this framework, Enochian magic is understood as a sacred language through which communication between humanity and higher intelligences becomes possible. For these practitioners, the system presents one of the most direct methods of angelic contact ever preserved within the Western tradition. No discussion of Enochian magic would be complete without acknowledging its controversies. Skeptics question the authenticity of Dee and Kelley's revelations and suggest that the material may have originated through imagination, unconscious creativity, fraud, or visionary psychology. Others point to inconsistencies within the records and debate whether the language itself possesses genuine linguistic structure. Even among occultists, opinions vary considerably. Some regard Enochian as the pinnacle of ceremonial magic, while others approach it cautiously due to its complexity and intensity. Yet, despite centuries of scrutiny, no consensus has emerged and the mystery remains. And perhaps the mystery is part of the system's enduring power. Warnings and respect for the system. Throughout the history of Enochian practice, many magicians have emphasized the importance of preparation, discipline, and respect. Unlike simpler magical systems, Enochian work involves extensive symbolism, ritual structure, visionary practices, and prolonged engagement with altered states of consciousness. For this reason, traditional practitioners generally recommend a strong foundation in meditation, ritual work, symbolism, and self-discipline before undertaking advanced Enochian operations. Many experienced magicians describe Enochian magic as less forgiving than other systems. Whether interpreted psychologically or spiritually, its effects can be profound and transformative. The system demands seriousness from those who choose to engage with it. Why magicians still study Enochian magic? Given its complexity, one might wonder why Enochian magic continues to attract students after more than 4 centuries. The answer lies in its promise. The system offers something that has fascinated humanity since the beginning of history: direct access to hidden knowledge. It proposes that consciousness can expand beyond ordinary perception and that deeper dimensions of reality can be explored through disciplined practice. For some, Enochian magic is a path of mystical ascent. For others, it is a framework for spiritual exploration. For still others, it's a symbolic language through which the psyche reveals its deepest mysteries. Whatever one's interpretation, the system continues to inspire because it points towards possibilities beyond the ordinary. Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding Enochian magic is not the angels, the language, or even the ethers. The greatest mystery is why it exists at all. How did 2 men in the 16th century produce a system of such extraordinary complexity? How did a complete language emerge alongside intricate cosmological structures, hierarchies of intelligences, elemental maps, visionary realms, and spiritual technologies that continue to challenge practitioners centuries later? Whether one views the system as divine revelation, inspired imagination, mystical vision, or something entirely different, its existence remains astonishing. The Enochian system appears almost as if it arrived fully formed from somewhere beyond the boundaries of ordinary thought, and perhaps that is why it continues to captivate students today. For many practitioners, the 30 ethers represents the heart of Enochian magic. They suggest that consciousness is not fixed but capable of ascending through increasingly subtle dimensions of awareness. Each ether reveals a different perspective of reality, stripping away assumptions and exposing deeper truths. The journey through the ethers is often described as a process of spiritual transformation. The explorer gradually moves beyond ordinary identity, encountering forces, symbols, and insights that challenge conventional understanding. In this sense, the ethers are not merely places, they are states of being. They are reminders that human consciousness may possess depths that remain largely unexplored. When we examine the history of Western esotericism, few systems stand as uniquely as Enochian magic. It combines language, symbolism, angelology, ritual, mysticism, cosmology, and visionary exploration into a single unified framework. It influenced the Golden Dawn, Crowley, modern ceremonial magic, and countless practitioners who followed. More importantly, it expanded the boundaries of what many believed was possible, and it challenged practitioners to move beyond theory and seek direct experience. It encouraged exploration rather than belief. It transformed the magician from a collector of ideas into explorer of consciousness. And for this reason, Enochian magic remains one of the great mysteries of the Western esoteric tradition. Enochian magic stands as one of the most extraordinary systems ever to emerge within the history of Western esotericism. Through the work of John Dee and Edward Kelley, a vast and intricate framework of angelic language, magical symbolism, and spiritual hierarchy, visionary realms, and methods of consciousness exploration entered the occult tradition. Whether interpreted as angelic revelation, mystical symbolism, psychological architecture, or spiritual technology, the system continues to inspire awe. Its language remains mysterious, its watchtowers remain enigmatic, its ethers continue to beckon explorers into territories few fully understand. For the historian, Enochian magic represents one of the most remarkable episodes in occult history. And for the magician, it offers a path of disciplined exploration. For the mystic, it provides a vision of a universe filled with intelligent order and hidden dimensions waiting to be discovered. Perhaps the deepest lesson of Enochian magic is that reality may be far larger than our ordinary senses reveal. Beneath the visible world may exist vast structures of meaning, consciousness, and intelligence that remain hidden from everyday perception. And standing at the threshold of these mysteries are the watchtowers, the angels in the ethers, silent reminders that the frontier of human understanding has never been the physical world alone, but the unexplored depth of consciousness itself. Okay, you guys, there you have it. Enochian magic. I hope this has been enlightening for you. It is a very complex and intricate system. Okay, so I've got some other stuff coming up next, you guys. I'm going to be doing the Arbitel, Picatrix, Kia Solomon, the Kybalion, and Hermeticism. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for sticking around. Bye.